Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in today. We are going to have a look at when next week's 10 days. In today's video, we'll also have a look at what's happening in the tropical Atlantic in terms of the latest with tropical storms and hurricanes. And there'll be a few other bits and pieces crammed in as well. I had to shorten yesterday's second video because I had a power cut and I lost the video as it was trying to download on the computer after I've recorded it. So I did a second version which had to be shortened. So this one will have everything in that we were going to look at yesterday. So we'll start off by having a look at the latest in the tropical Atlantic. These are still our old storms. We've got Maria there and Lee just there knocking around in the Atlantic. Maria is now down to a tropical storm, so it's lost hurricane status. Lee is still a hurricane. Both of these storms are going to be pushing that way in the next few days and may finish up as an area of low pressure close to the British Isles Sunday into Monday. Also got this area of interest just here in the Caribbean. Now, that's just an area of cloud and thunderstorms at the moment. Showers, downpours and cloud. It isn't a storm, certainly isn't a hurricane yet, but there is a low risk that this might develop into some sort of tropical development in the days ahead. We've got to be watching out for what's going on there. This is how the sea surface temperature anomalies are looking in the Caribbean, and this is the area of interest now, I think, just here, because we have got some quite warm sea surface temperature anomalies just there, with both showers and thunderstorms developing through the Caribbean islands. We may see something developing in the days ahead. In terms of the overall Atlantic picture, so things are quieter now in the tropical Atlantic over here off the coast of Africa, and sort of a breeding ground for these storms and hurricanes. But you see, surface temperature anomalies are still quite warm in that area, so it certainly isn't impossible that we might see more developments in the days and weeks ahead in that area. But I think in a more immediate time frame, it's this area here within the Caribbean that we've got to be watching out for to possibly develop some more storms and hurricanes. We'll keep you posted on that. Central temperature has just updated from Hadley, provisional to yesterday, 27th of September. We're coming out provisionally at 13.7, which is absolutely bang on the 61 to 1990 average, with an anomaly of minus 0.0, so bang on where we should be in terms of 61 to 1990. If we was to compare this to 81 to 2010, a more modern average would still be a little bit cooler than average. I think we're going to come in under 13 degrees, under 14 degrees Celsius, I should say, for September CT overall. I suspect it'll be somewhere between around 13.5 and 13.9 when we finally divvy up the statistics right at the very end of the month. So another cooler month essentially compared to the first half of the year. It does look as though we have entered into a cooler type situation, albeit we haven't yet had anything particularly cold, but certainly temperature anomalies have reduced from July onwards, now into September, third month, compared to the February to June situation, which was much, much warmer than average. Right, having a look at 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECDF here on the top, the GFS, which you'll have a look in a moment, on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. But it extrapolates to low pressure, red and orange to high pressure. This is going to take us to around the 8th of October, so going into the first week of the new month. The ECDF shows below average heights up to the north and to the northeast, and above average heights down to the south and the southwest, and bringing the flow and the jet stream through like that. So it looks quite unsettled, that particularly so for the north, would be drier at times down in the south, but even there we will get some unsettled conditions. Now the GFS, however, is very, very similar. Remember, this is very, very different. Remember, this is taking us through the first week of October. So we've got this big area of above average heights through the UK and going up to the north as well. And then we've got below average heights across eastern, southeast parts of Europe. So what's happening with the flow, with the jet stream there, is that we're doing something like that. and it's just much more settled and high pressure dominated with the GFS compared to the ECNDF. That is quite a stark and fairly dramatic split at the 7 to 10 day time frame between the two models, how they see things evolving through the first week of October. This is all indicative of the uncertainty that you tend to get at this time of the year. GFS ensemble data next. We're looking at Liverpool today. A couple of people have asked us if we're going to have a look at the ensembles for Liverpool. So these are the upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles that we're starting with. First of all, the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. Got a zonal sine wave to start off with, a warm sector there, then a cool sector. Warm sector just there. That's associated potentially with the remains of hurricanes Lee and Maria. And then we go a little bit cooler once that low pressure gets out of the way. Then after that, we lose the sine wave, and it looks like the upper air temperatures anyway, are coming out very, very close to average. No big deviation. In terms of precipitation, so quite a few rainfall spikes coming up over the coming days, and then later through the first week of October, looks like we have a drying trend in Liverpool. Bear in mind, that's in the northwest of England, so it's one of the more wetter places in the UK. If we look at somewhere in the southeast, that will probably look quite a lot drier, that ensemble. In terms of surface temperatures and also air pressure, so we start off around here, just around 15 degrees Celsius. And looks like we keep it at that sort of level actually running through. So maybe a little bit of a cooling trend early next week, going under 15 degrees. But overall, don't think we're deviating too far from the average. Looks fairly flat in terms of the maximum temperatures. Minimum temperatures look like they're lowering a bit. It turns a bit cooler there by night, but it's warmer just there. And then a bit of a cooling trend again appearing through that part. And actually, as we get through to the latter part of the ensemble, this period just here, we are having a few members that are going down sort of frosty night levels as we go through the second week of October. So we might see some frost, presumably as that high pressure builds in, starting to come into play. And also just here as well, risk of some frosty nights just there. Might see some frost coming into play as we get through into the second week of October as that high pressure builds in. In terms of the air pressure, so relatively reasonably high with pressure at the moment, although it is still low enough to be unsettled at times. Then the pressure goes very low at the weekend and into the early part of next week before a recovery takes place, and reasonably high pressure, I think, then takes us through the first week into the second week of October. In terms of the temperature anomalies, looking like this, a little bit milder than average from the 28th of September to the 6th of October. In terms of precipitation anomalies, close to average, perhaps still a little bit on the drier than average side, if anything, particularly and interestingly for the north and west of the country. In America, most parts of the states are coming out warmer than average with the temperature anomaly from the 28th of September to 6th of October. A little bit colder than average in the Pacific Northwest, but otherwise it's quite a mild scene in the week ahead. And in terms of precipitation in America, it's much drier than average in the western states, but it goes wetter through this area just here, then over into the east, well, really central and eastern parts of the states, drier than average there also. This is how the GFS is looking for Sunday. So we've got the area of low pressures out in the Atlantic. What happens as we get through to Monday is that a large area of low pressure has developed. There are tropical elements within that area of low pressure. Could give a real blow Sunday into Monday, especially for the northern part of the country. Wet and windy up there. All places probably getting wet weather on Sunday. That rain probably clears to showers on Monday. Excuse me. And then we go through into Tuesday. The low pressure heads off into Scandinavia, leaves us in this cool, potentially quite showery northwesterly flow. Mid and latter stage of next week start to show high pressure building in from the south and the southwest. So we saw it on the high anomaly. We get through towards day 10 and high pressure is really taking over strongly there. So by day 10, Sunday the 8th of October, we are firmly under an area of high pressure. We're bringing in the winds from an east-southeasterly direction, and it's going to very much depend on the exact nature of the air mass with that. Potentially that could be quite warm, bringing the air in from continental Europe, but it just depends whether there is a source of warm air to tap into. By night it could be cool, and there might be mist and fog and even ground frost by night under that as well. So until we get closer to the time frame, seeing the exact soundings of the air that we're bringing in from off the continent, it is open to question exactly what the air mass will be doing with that. Eastern UF then finally, and we're bringing low pressure in from off the Atlantic the end of weekend into next week. That all gets out of the way, and then we do try to get a little bit of ridge building to the south, but it's staying unsettled really up to the north, and we keep this unsettled weather going then through to the second half of next week. So when the GFS is building up high pressure in the second half of next week, the ECNUF is keeping things generally quite unsettled, cool and showery, and that's how we go up to day 10. Yes, heights are strengthening to our southwest. We have got a ridge down to the southwest of the country, but overall it's still looking pretty unsettled, this, still bringing the jet stream through the country like that. So particularly for the north, it would be quite showery at the very least, and I think generally fairly cool as well. So a real split at day 10. Let's compare them. That's the that's the GFS at day 10. Real split between that and the ECM as to how things are developing. We probably won't know until we get this area of low pressure out of the way on Monday exactly which way this is going to go, because I assume it's the handling of the ex-hurricanes Lee and Maria that are causing so much uncertainty and confusion here. So we probably won't know definitively how things play out at the end of next week until that area of low pressure is out of the way, which of course will make my job on Saturday when I do the week ahead forecast quite difficult, but we'll cross that when we come to it. So it looks like we're going to have this unsettled weather at the start of next week. Then we probably will build up a little bit of high pressure through the middle part of next week. Like to be quite cool with that as well, and then it's all up for grabs really for the second half of next week, and we'll keep you posted on that. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.